Hey friends, how's it going? It's Erin with What a Witch Knows. I'm here today to do a tarot read for y'all about the new moon in Gemini, which is coming up on Monday, the 27th, Memorial Day, and here in the States. So, new moons are always about new beginnings, but this particular new moon is a really big deal because it's making favorable conversations to some power player outer planets. One of those is Saturn that just moved into Aries literally like a day ago. Saturn has a 30-year orbit, so it's a really big deal when it moves signs. Not only did it move signs, it moved from the last sign of the zodiac, Pisces, into Aries, the first sign of the zodiac, which is the 0 point of energy, that point of manifestation and possibility. So a lot of new starts, new beginnings energy already in the air. Not to mention, we also have a nice looking trine over to Pluto in Aquarius. Pluto, the outermost planet of the zodiac, is all about transformation, and that moved over to Aquarius a few months back. I don't remember exactly when. It's been there for a minute, but it had been in Capricorn for, say, 12-ish years, maybe longer. I think it had been since 2008, so like 16 years. Check my math. Anyway, I'm a writer, guys. I don't do math. Anyway, so yeah, this new moon feels really it's weird because it feels like there's some very big new starts in the air. But it also feels like there's a part of me that just wants to like sort of feel into it and go with my intuition and sort of like take the steps as they materialize in front of me, and try not to control too much about the outcome, because when you're not living in the present and you're trying to control the future, you're not in the, you're grasping for control, right? And that's sort of the old paradigm that we're trying to move away from. So that doesn't mean I don't want answers. Like, of course I do. I'm like asking my guides, I'm like, what the fuck's going on? And they're like, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You're fine. You know, you just chill. You're all right. You know. That's my New York. Oh my god, that's so bad. That's my New York accent, but it's like not very good. If you guys haven't seen Honora, it's an amazing movie. She has like the best Brooklyn accent. It's so funny. Anyway, I'm feeling all over the place, which is in the air because it's Gemini. Gemini rules the mind. And definitely there's been a lot of overthinking going on. I'm just, that's right now I'm trying not to overthink. So here's our first card. It's very cute. It's the Six of Cups. The Six of Cups is all about memories. What's so weird is that it can be about past lives too, but I'm actually getting sort of past incarnations on this planet back when the planet was actually like a happy, functional place to live on, which I think was probably quite some time ago. I mean, these are things that like, come into your brain and you just get like little flashes, and you of course don't have all the answers, but you do get the sense that there was a time on the planet when it was ruled by love and not fear, and I'm getting the sense that that's the time that's rolling back around on the planet. Like I don't think it's necessarily the first time we've ever experienced that, but I think it's the first time sort of as human beings in this form now we have experienced that, and that's what we're moving towards. We're moving towards experiencing sort of love to its fullest extreme, love in its fullest capacity, right? Like we've experienced fear in its fullest capacity, and now we have to experience that other side of the polarity, which is love. And that's what the Six of Cups is all about. It doesn't necessarily have to be romantic love, though. It can be any kind of love. It can be friendship. It can be love between a parent and a child. There's a lot of people who say that love is really sort of like the core sort of building block of our consciousness. And I'm someone who tends to believe that. So that wasn't where I expected to start off the reading, but that's an interesting way to start. The next card that we have is the Page of Cups, which is also interesting, considering that in the Six of Cups you have that the children here. You have a child here holding a cup, and this is sort of a young man or maybe teenager holding a cup here. That can be love. It can be friendship. I'm just seeing this as making positive connections with new friends, with new, business partners, new romantic connections, just people that also share that frequency of love and have that belief that we are sort of designed and destined to be living in love and not in fear. let's keep going because I feel like there's more to that story. I'm going to shuffle again and just get some more energy flowing through these cards. Oh my God, I just checked to see that the camera was on. For a second, I was like, am I even recording? What is going on? I just, okay. I just saw the Four of Wands and the Four of Wands and the Ace of Wands pop out, but I'm not going to take that. No, I'm like, should I have taken it? I'm second guessing myself. Geez, this overthinking shit is like crazy. Okay, whatever. Yes, overthinking. Oh my God, like the Two of Swords is all about, so I read it as like, she can't see anything because she's blindfolded. Potentially she's stuck between two options, but in my brain, she is sort of like following her, or being invited to follow her intuition, because the moon here in the background in the water represents emotions and intuition. I think that's where we need to go. I think our brain is right now, all this Gemini energy, I think our brains are not just going to give us the answers that we're looking for. The answers are not in the spreadsheets. The answers are not on YouTube. You know, they're not in like calling your mom for the recipe that you forgot. You know what I mean? Like, it's not outside yourself. The answers are inside yourself. You know, you have to tune into your intuition because that's the voice of your higher self, the part that's connected to spirit and sort of knows your plan, knows where you were, knows where you are now, knows where you're going, you know. And your intuition is the voice of your higher self. So that's really important. This is also interesting that we have coming up the Six of Swords. I think it came up in the reverse, but honestly, I don't think it really matters. I'm not feeling compelled to read reversals today for some reason. This is about moving on to calmer waters. I think there's a lot of that, especially because in the pre-shuffle, I was seeing a lot of the Eight of Cups come up, which is about moving on, leaving pieces of our lives as we know it behind and moving on to that next phase, that next chapter. I'm getting a lot of like calm energy though. I'm not getting like, you know, this is like slamming the door and, you know, having a major argument and like just, you know, packing the car and starting all over again for some reason. I'm just getting this is like a very calm, you know, moving on to a new chapter that's sort of a chapter that's mutual for all involved, but that is a very big chapter nonetheless. It seems to me like there's a lot of respect involved. There's a lot of admiration involved. I think it might mean that, you know, we might need to say goodbye to some pretty big things in our lives, but I'm not getting the sense that it's like, fuck you, I'm out. I'm getting the sense that it's like, thank you so much, you know, for this chapter, this like beautiful chapter, like feeling so much gratitude for it. And then just like, you know, he's just putting his stick in the water here and just like taking that first step and not really knowing where it's going to go, but knowing that you have enough control that you can control, you know, the first, you know, 2 or 3 steps in your journey. This is a really cool card to come out. So it's the Emperor. I'm feeling that as all of us, you know, like you watching this reading. The Emperor is a very powerful person. It's somebody who, you know, finds that power within themselves, even if they might not have all the answers, even if they might be scared. You know, some people talk about fear like, you know, I'm going to let the fear ride with me, but I'm not going to let it control me. Like, it can ride with me, but it's got to stay in the back seat. Like, it can have a seat at the table. It can have a voice, but, you know, it can't control the outcome because that's the old way of thinking. And that's the old way of operating. Lately, I've been kind of like working on boundaries and envisioning that sort of protective boundary around myself and envisioning, you know, the fear along with the uncertainty and the doubt and things like that that kind of creep up, that are really illusions. I've been envisioning those like on the outside of that boundary. Ooh, okay. I was like, no, these transitions are going to be totally smooth. They're going to be like quiet and like no problem. And then we get the Tower. It's like, damn, like, okay, like maybe there's some like, maybe some people have some like some big changes, but honestly, like the way I'm reading this is that if you're running into things that are like crumbling in a loud way, crumbling in a big way, crumbling in an angry way. Those are the things that are on the way out because they've been hanging out in our lives for too long. And the divine needed to come in and zap you with that lightning and be like, hey, time to move on now. Time to move on. I mean, I think like, the ideal solution is that you've already been working on letting go of the things and the people and the places and the things that, are no longer aligned for you. And if you are, doing that work, these are going to be much smoother transitions. But for some people, and I'm not making anything wrong, guys. I've done this a million times in my past where I held on to something too long and I got the tower, right? Like, I think the first tarot reading I ever got, when I was in high school and I was in a relationship with someone that it was clearly not aligned and it was clearly over. And I got the tower and the tarot reader was like, oh, okay, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. But, towers are not bad. They're sent from the divine for a reason. Either way, whether it's like smooth or not, we have to move on. Like it's time to move on into this like new chapter of our lives. Everything in the astrology is screaming like new, like move now, like just do it. You know what I mean? So let's see if I feel like taking one more card. I got the Devil. I think that I think that this can be those fears, insecurities, illusions that are keeping us trapped. And I think that the Tower is coming in to clear all of those out of our lives. But again, guys, it's up to us. Like it's our choice. We can go kicking and screaming, or we can go out of our own volition, but we have to go. Like we have to move. I'm gonna look at the bottom of the deck for some reason. I'm feeling compelled. Yeah, that feels good. There's actually two that feel good. Okay, so we have the Ace of Wands and we have the Nine of Cups. So the Ace of Wands is all about our passion and our conviction and the things that we really, really believe in. And the Nine of Cups is all about our wish fulfillment. And I think this is where we're going, regardless of if the change is a really difficult one or if the change is relatively smooth. I think I'm actually kind of seeing this as, find it. Yeah. Kind of seeing this as the same stick that this guy in the Six of Swords is using to propel his boat into calmer waters. So it's us. Like we have the power to move our boat in a new direction. But we power that movement with our intuition. We power it with our passion. We power it with, well, what do I really want out of my life? And like, how do I take the steps to move towards that? And then, ideally we wind up with, our wishes and our dreams coming true, which is a lot about what Saturn is in Aries, I believe it is going to be. And I'll click, I'll leave the link to the video I did on that in the description box below. So guys, it's a really big time. It's a lot of transition. It's a lot of movement. And I think it's just going to keep accelerating, as the year progresses on. So, ground, tune into your intuition, tune into your emotion, and make sure that you're connecting with people who can really help you on that path. All right, guys, I hope that helps. Talk to you soon. Bye.